First off, I would like to thank all of you that have come from thousands of miles. To give you an example, there's people here that have flown in from Hawaii, from California, from all over the United States to be here. First off, in recognition, I'd like to thank John Matthias for coming up with our theme. We kicked around a lot of different themes, but I really believe the golden years represents so well those days that were so pure. Let me give you an example. I was 14 years old when my parents allowed me to come to Ocean City to work. 14. Unescorted all summer. The worst thing that could have happened was Mom sat me down and told me about respect for the girls. I didn't want to hear that. And I knew I was in trouble. And this is how far we can remember back. First off, being allowed to come to Ocean City I always called my mom, ma'am. We had that natural respect. But as soon as we all hugged and said goodbye, I hitchhiked to Ocean City with my suitcase. Whereas today, Lord forbid. We also have the pleasure of having Joan Choate and her daughter Carrie. We all love George. We're so honored to have both Joan and Carrie here. What a wonderful, wonderful man. I came to work for George Choate. It was only the first job that I was the lifeguard at the Diplomat Hotel. And I did something very wrong. I bought beer off of one of the Bo salesmen who happened to be delivering beer to the hotel.
On the stand?
I bought 20 cases. I was 18 years old. And I said, well, just throw it in the pool house. And for some reason, I had enough money to go ahead and pay him. After I sold maybe 15 of the cases illegally, my boss, Doc Goldman, came in and discovered the beer, and I was fired instantly. George had been trying to get me on the beach patrol, but I had worked at the Commander. I worked in many different places for Jimmy Jarman, the beach service, 7 years of being there. So when George said to me, hey, Vic, he said, I know the kind of guy you are. He said, let me talk to Captain Craig and tell him that I would like to give you a chance. And that's what they did. They embraced me. Federal agents came to my stand and asked me to step down. It scared the daylight out of me. And Captain Craig, even though I explained the whole situation, which I was 100% wrong, I survived, and I continued to drive to work with Captain Craig because I had a job in the evening working at the racetrack. So George was really the guy that got me started on the beach patrol. Very honestly, I'm sorry I didn't start 5 years before that, but I'm honored. I've only been on the beach patrol I had only been from 63, 64, that one half year and that other full year. But it's the most wonderful years of my life. It's helped me in employment. I've encouraged others to join beach patrols, and I had the pleasure of starting 2 beach patrols in South Padre Island, Texas, when we didn't have a beach patrol. Any of you out there would have done exactly the same thing who came from a beach patrol environment, especially one that is so sophisticated. It was such a responsible position. We all know and understand and came to attention any time that one of the officers came and expected excellence from us, because that's what we did. A short story: in South Padre Island, Texas, where I lived, retired in 2010, we recorded 105 drownings from 9 o'clock in the morning until 6 o'clock in the evening in a 17-year period. Can you imagine a major resort that never had a beach patrol? So it took the help of others to go ahead and document each person who it was, to be able to present it to a city council to say, that's what we need to do. It had nothing really to do about me. Any one of you would have done identically the same thing. And in order to launch the beach patrol, Captain Arbin gave me all their manuals because they didn't know how to begin. So it was a wonderful, wonderful educational program that launched their program and minimized any drownings, and there's been so few. I'd also like to pay respects this evening and recognize our Congressman Rupertsberger for both he, Dutch, and Kay. Regardless of your politics, we're just happy to have you, Dutch. I don't know where you and your wife are, but thank you. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you for honoring and standing with our country. We live in a great nation, an honored nation, and we're thankful that you're here. So tonight, we're going to step back in time. We're going to reflect on those happy days that changed our lives. For the friends that we've developed over the years, for the relationships that have never waned. It is a privilege now that I turn the microphone over to Mark Warren, who is this year's Master of Ceremony. Before I bring Mark in, let me just tell you a little bit about Mark. In 1975, he joined the Beach Patrol. Guess how old he was? 16 years old. He was in the 10th grade, and he served until 1982, and he was a lieutenant. Mark is a great guy. He's got a ton of friends. He's been so helpful in the organizational theme of what we're doing tonight, and now it gives me great pleasure to turn it over to Mark. Mark Warren.
Hey, let's give it up for Vic. Was the Beach Patrol the best job that all of you ever had? Can I just hear that? What a great place. Yeah, I remember, Vic mentioned I was in 10th grade, and I remember in 1975 I actually lived at Captain Craig's house downstairs in the barracks area there. And I didn't know anything about lifeguard or anything. That's some great people who trained me up on it. But I do remember this. In 1975, when I was in 10th grade, I read Emerson for the first time. And Emerson said this: whatever you think about all day long, you'll become. And I'm reading that during that summer. Whatever you think about all day long, that's what you become. And there I was on the Beach Patrol sitting up there, and it scared me to death because I thought I was going to become a girl. That's all I thought about. Some of you get that tomorrow. That's okay. All right. Vic, I love your notes here. I'm just kind of trying to find mine. Did you grab mine, Vic? I got it. Here. Let me give you yours, just to clutter the... Thank you, Vic. So what we want to do, or what we'd like to do right now is, let me just announce, as Vic said, the theme is the golden years, which we're excited about. And I'd like to have a couple of the guys who are the legends of life-saving here. I'm going to just call them by name. They're going to stand up, and I think we have a microphone that we're going to kind of pass around to them, say a few things, or how to invite them up? Okay, great. So if they're here, is Joe Bud Booz here from 1942 to 45? Thanks, Bud. Good to see you. Thank you for being here. Sid Sturman, are you here tonight? Sid, will you come on up for a minute? I know you want to say a couple things. Welcome. 1943, 44, 45. Is your brother Fuzzy here with you? All right, Fuzzy. Hey, thank you. Fuzzy, you guarded in the 50s, correct? Cool. Sid, come on up, say a couple words. Welcome, Sid.
Good evening. As you see, I'm prepared slightly. Hi, everyone. It's great to be here. I'm Sid Sturman, Fuzzy's older brother, a former Ocean City guard. I'm 92 years old, and I'm still scared. 69 years ago, I was a guard on the beach patrol. The year was 1944. There was no Chesapeake Bay Bridge, only the ferry service across to the eastern shore, which took 45 minutes to get across, one way. Louis Jordan and his Symphony 5 were playing the G.I. Jive. Ella Fitzgerald sang the Cow Cow Boogie. The boardwalk in those days ran from the inlet to 14th Street. It sat 5 feet in the air above the sand, and stairs were used that needed to go down to the beach. The beaches were narrow. Jetties were placed every 110 yards to build up the sand, and the concrete breakwater at the inlet was still being worked on. The guarding beaches ran from the commander to the inlet. There were 15 of us on the job in 44, including Bill Pacey. Jim Parker was the captain, Gordon Shipley his second in command. Our state-of-the-art equipment consisted of the following. Hey boys, listen. 1 ring buoy for the lot of us. 1 bicycle to patrol the guards. 15 guard stand and 1 guard to a stand. Unfortunately, the whistles were not supplied. We had to buy our own. I was in my first year at University of Maryland on a football and boxing scholarship. Gordon Shipley, the second in command of the patrol, was on the football team. And as all athletes at that time in 44, we lived in the Coliseum next to the stadium. One day after spring practice, football practice, Gordon asked several of us to try out for the beach patrol. Trying out consisted of a 45-minute swim in the ocean, late May, early June, and I vividly remember walking ashore with my legs feeling like stumps. Once accepted as a guard, we earned every penny the hard way. Pay was a whopping $21 a week. Gordon sent us to the Laurel House, owned and run by Mama Bull and her sister, 90-year-old sister Sissy Bull. We paid $10 a week for room and board. Meals were served up family style, and the food was just terrific. We slept in an attic dorm, 4 beds to a cubicle. I dragged my 13-year-old brother Fuzzy with me. I told my mom and dad that I was taking him on vacation for summer. We hitchhiked to Ocean City. After 2 days of vacation, I ordered him to get a job. Fuzzy worked on an umbrella stand for Jimmy Jarman. and he made enough money to lend it to me when I ran short. I was already a Red Cross water safety instructor when I joined the pool. 1943 was the first water safety school in the country. And because of this, I was assigned to the infamous beach in front of the Rideau Hotel near Division Street. On Sunday, the farm folks descended on Rideau Beach. They were big on picnics and alcohol, and short on swimming skills. I had my hands full, keeping folks away from the jetties. Rescues were frequent, due to riptide, rough seas, and of course, intoxicated farmers. Victor Berman, another Maryland athlete, came to join us on the patrol. Victor was an accomplished national boxing champion. He was a great boxer, but not such a great swimmer. He could barely save himself if the situation arose. Victor was assigned to the Atlantic Hotel Beach. It was a very shallow walking beach. It was nearly impossible to get water over your head. I organized a junior group of 10 or 12 helpers to assist me that summer. I held life-saving courses in the ocean and the Back Bay by the old Coast Guard depot. Fuzzy, Warren Schmidt, and others of that class later went on to join the Beach Patrol. It was a great summer. I remember entering a jitterbug contest at the pier. The pier was a hopping night action ballroom at that time. Hunk Dory, a fellow guard, asked me to dance with his girlfriend. Why? Because Hunk, Gordon, and some other lifeguards were the judges. We won. Needless to say, we had to split $25 anyway, the first prize. It was just sad to hang up our suits after Labor Day, but the memories linger on to this day. We thought that the Patrol of 44 was the greatest, and I'm sure you feel the same about your days on the Beach Patrol. Any questions?
Thank you, Sid. That was great. Thank you. Fuzzy? Thanks. Thanks, guys. Hey, next up of our legends is, if you could stand, is Lucky. I know some of you were at the beach today with us with Lucky Jordan, guarded from 1945 to 50 through 55. He's here with his wife Carol, son, granddaughter Courtney. We'll hear a little bit more from Courtney later tonight. Lucky not only worked on the Ocean City Beach Patrol during the summers, he also worked on the Fort Lauderdale Beach Patrol in the winter. Lucky was a major contributor and director of the famous Fort Lauderdale Aquatics Center, and we were talking tonight, he's a prolific writer, and his book, Waterwork, looks like it might ultimately get a second edition. Can we give it up for Lucky? Can you stand up, Lucky? Hey, did he look great on that stand today, running the Beach Patrol races? He was awesome. That was great. He's still got a six-pack. That's cool. That's so cool. Also, Jim Kelly's here with us tonight. He guarded from 1946 to 1951. Jim's here with his wife, Faye. Jim, are you here? Can you stand up for us? You want? Jim? Thanks for being here, Jim. And last but not least, he guarded from 1943 to 1946. Bill and his son John are here, who also served on the patrol. And, we want to honor him. These guys are all wonderful. We want to honor Bill as well because he is one of the living captains that we have, and the living legend, the only living legend captain that's still with us, and that's Captain Bill Pacey. Bill? want to say a couple words? Come on up there. Let's give it up, Mason. Captain Mason.
I have, number one, I'm very glad to be here. At pushing into my 86th year, I wish I could have gone swimming today, but I can't walk in the sand anymore. So, but I have one story, which is a true story, which I'd like to tell you about the early patrol, 1931, 1933. In 1933, I was about 5 years old, and we had an apartment over the drugstore on 6th Street. And we woke up on the morning of August 23rd, 33, and the waves were breaking on the boardwalk and running down 6th Street. It was during the middle of the week, so the men were all working in Baltimore or Washington. There was a knock on the door, and they said, evacuate. There were no phones, no cell phones, there was no radio. Just a complete surprise. So my mother gathered me together, and with two other women and a maid named Mary Bruce, we evacuated. We went down 6th Street, and the water is about waist deep with my mother, so she picked me up in her arms. And we started down Baltimore Avenue to 3rd Street to a house that we were going to eventually get into. And my mother stepped into a manhole and went up to about her neck. I'm up here. And I don't know what I thought, but I can't remember. But I was scared to death. Within 1 minute, a rowboat came by. And a guy got out of the rowboat, and he's up to about his waist, grabs me and throws me in the rowboat, and went to get my mother. And I found out later that it was John Laws, whose family had a grocery store in downtown Ocean City. It was the only grocery store in town. He was a member of the Beach Patrol. And he wasn't on his beach that day. He was on Baltimore Avenue. And I will never forget that. And that's what the Beach Patrol is all about. We weren't called lifeguards in the 40s and the 30s. We were members of the Beach Patrol. The lifeguard word came into it. And I think the happiest days of my life were 43 to 49. And nothing could replace them. So I thank you for my being here, and I wish you good luck and happiness. Thank you.
Captain Bill Pacey. And there's an old saying, if clothes make the person, why are lifeguards so popular? Right? Think about that. Hey, I just want to go over the list of the lifeguards in ascending order. Not the lifeguards, the captains, just to give us a reference point. The first captain on record was Edward Lee Carey from 1930 to 1934, and then again from 1939 to 1941. By the way, there's a couple pictures along the wall here if you didn't get a chance to see them. There's actually a picture of Carey in one of those pictures. The second captain from 1935 to 1938 was Harry Kelly, who, if you remember, was the mayor of Ocean City, longtime mayor of Ocean City, I know for sure in the 70s, but might have been the late 60s into the early 80s. The third captain was Bill West in 1939, Tommy Price in 1942, Jim Parker, 1943 and 1944. Bill, as he mentioned, was 1945 to 46, and then he served under Bob Craig from 47, 48, 49. Captain Bob Craig holds the record, by the way, as the longest temporary employee ever in Ocean City history at 52 years. And I know that's a great record, isn't it? Butch, I know you're sneaking up on him. But Got a couple more to go anyway. Captain George Schoaf was on the beach patrol for a very long time, as we know. He was the captain from June 15th, 1987 to June 11th, 1997. And our acting captain in 1996, along with Captain Schoaf, was Butch, and we'll hear from him later. He was appointed captain on June 12th, 1997, and is currently still serving.
Butch Harmon.
So I think that's great. Give it up for Butch and his wife. Before I get on the next part, Lucky, if you can make your way up here for the swim competition info, you got some awards you want to give out or something. Before I do that, I do have one other award I want to give out. I'd be remiss if I didn't recognize him. In 2010, John Jarvis was the MC of this event. And I know Charlie Austin's here. I know we have a certificate for John. John, can you come on up? Charlie, can you come on up? We'd like to give him a certificate. Can we get up for John Jarvis? He's got much better sense of humor than I do. And we appreciate all that he's done over the years for the town, and obviously as a member of the Beach Patrol. Hey, let's give it up for John Jarvis, one of the greats. Lucky, come on up. Tell us about who was doing what today. Give it up for Lucky.
I think that hurt. I want to thank Captain Butch for all his help. He's the guy that makes sure the equipment's out there and we don't look too stupid. Trying to do what we have fun doing. And I want to thank everybody that has attended the reunion since they started. We started out for a fairly small group, wouldn't you say, Wells? First group. And it's grown a little bit more each year. I run into people I haven't seen in years. Buddy Booze over there, haven't seen him since 45, I believe, right, Bud? Yeah. And it's just a great feeling for me to see people that I respected, and I knew that they had a serious attitude and a feeling of serious responsibility towards the job when they had it. And to see them here, and those of you that are still in good health, I'm glad, and I hope those you keep in good health. The swim competition, Vic talked me into. I didn't have anything to do after I retired, so I kind of wrote a memoir, and I entitled it "Water Work." A lot of people misspeak it for Water Works. Water Works is where they take care and fix the water that comes out of your faucet. I always kind of felt like the work we did in the water was individual water work. It was a way of showing your respect and care for people under your care, and making sure that you had the skills and the conditioning to see that they came to the beach, had a good time, and everybody went home that night. The idea of the swim competitions for the reunion, Vic said, "Oh, it'd be great to see you stand up on the guard stand with like the cover of your book." I said, "Yeah, but it's a few muscles short." So, but anyway, he talked me into it, and the first thing we did was the surf sprint. As most of you who did the surf sprint before in 2010 was a lot of fun. This time we got to talking among ourselves, a few of us, and Mark Warren should get credit for collaborating on the relay event. We did it over the computer and came up with what you did today. I was a little concerned coming up here because I only had 2 firm swim teams for the relay on my computer while I was coming up from Florida. And about the time I got here, and the first 2 solid teams was from Mark himself. And it was interesting to me that his brother Tim was on one team, he's on the other. And then the 3rd team developed while I was here from Doug Ricks. And then everything just kind of broke loose on the beach. We ended up with 8 teams all of a sudden. I had 1 timer, 2 judges, and a recorder. And things got a little hectic there for a while. And so I want to ask you all to kind of cut us a break because I know it looked like we didn't know what we were doing, and frankly, we didn't there for a while. But we managed to get through it, and some of the comments I've had from you all tells me that most people had a pretty good time. So we have some. I'm a firm believer in recognition. I think if somebody does anything at all at a function that people get together on purpose and enjoy themselves, need to be recognized. So I remember, let me back up a little bit, 2010, for years, I wondered whether the guys that came after us were as good as we were. And that used to really bother me. I mean, we kept ourselves in shape, and some of us were competitive swimmers and learned to adjust that speed stroke to a good, strong ocean stroke when we worked on a patrol. And I just, kept thinking, well, I just hope the guys kept up the tradition. And 2010, on the day of the event, the wind was blowing about 30 mile an hour, wasn't it, Mark? And the water was maybe 62, 63 degrees. And the temperature, I think, was around 60, or if it was 60, it was warm. That was cold. Right. Yeah. And I walked out on the deck, on the boardwalk, and I said, well, who's swimming? They said, well, are we going to swim or not? And I said, majority rules. And we ended up with 23 people showing me that you were not only as good, but you're almost better. So that answered a long-standing question for me. And since then, I've been more impressed with the patrol. Like a few comments previous to me, the size of patrol in my day was 15, 16, I think. Bill, I think we had 16 total, and then a couple of military guys showed up at the end. I never could figure out what those guys' names were. What? Yeah, right. So that year, under Captain Bill Pacey, we had a bunch of kids taking place of men, and we had 0 drownings. So enough of this gabby from Jordan. Have some receipts. Okay, first sprint event was 40 to 49 age group. First place was who's this? Jeff Irwin.
Congratulations. Excellent run. Great job.
It's kind of nice looking.
Guys, can we get a picture together with the two of them?
Oh, you want a picture?
Lucky, step outside.
These are awesome socks, Jeff.
Second one is Don Miller. Doug Miller. It's a good thing it's somebody else's handwriting. I can't read my own. Thank you. Thank you. Enjoy that picture. Thank you. Third place, Mike Lindsay. I'm right here. Thanks. Thanks for participating. Okay, 50 to 59 was the next surf sprint event. First one, Mr. Mark Warren himself.
Yeah, Mark Warren.
Where's the big guy? You were first. Come on up. Come on.
Okay. They know better than we do. Working in the dark. Yeah. Thanks. Second place is Mark Spence.
Mark Spence. Go home.
Not here.
You Spence.
Mark McCullough.
McCullough. Mark McCullough.
Most interesting man in the world. Where's the Dos Equis? Where's the Dos Equis? Most interesting man in the world. Thanks a lot. Hey man, can I sit at the table with you?
Okay, we have 60 to 69 event age group, still the surf sprint. Chapanic.
Sergeant Chapanic.
I know that guy. Bowden, second place.
Jaybird.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, Jay.
Oh, Brew himself. Where's Brubaker? Proud to know you. You don't want a picture with me. All right, we have a little short in 70, the age group. We had one guy, but he managed to get out there and get back, so we're going to get Vic, where you at?
All right, Vic.
Second one? No, this guy, come on. You have something wrong with your head, Boyd? 82 years old, folks. Hell's Boyd. They understand we're a little close up here. So, we're into the run, swim events now, the relay. Okay, Team 1 and Team 2 were tied for first place. Mark Warren and Tim Warren.
Mark, guys, come on up. All the guys come on
This is Heat 1. Okay, Heat 1, he's going to be
Jerry, come on up.
For now.
You got Charlie, you got the camera?
Let's get a picture, Mike.
Okay, the second team is Team 3. Captain Doug Ricks, bring his team up.
Doug Ricks, bring you guys up. There they are, right over there. Let's get that for it.
Over here.
Dan, you didn't win? Get up there, Dan. Come on, Dan. She was literally.
You want me to move? Short guy.
You'll block man now.
Thank you for leaving me out of it.
Lucky talking to the mic.
Okay. Yeah, nothing personal. Though. Okay, what's that?
Vic. Everything is so
Number
freaking
6,
fabulous.
Captain Miller, Doug
outdone
Miller.
yourself.
Will you bring your team up?
Doug Miller, Tim Miller. Everybody?
There you come.
Come on up. Very good, guys. Nice. Get in there with it, buddy.
Next team. Boy, this is hard to believe. Drew Baker, Panic, Richard Norris, and Michael McGurk. Where's that team?
Hey, Joe. No, you guys didn't you just do run and swim with these guys? Didn't you do 2 legs? Come on up, buddy. You did both legs. You did both legs. Both legs. Both legs. I feel sorry for you. You did both legs. Yeah. Give him 2 of them.
Joe, he is Carney.
Yeah, I got out.
Years ago, they had this thing 2 weeks later. The air was like 58 and
Yeah. Well, it's hit or miss.
Captain Merrifield, is he here? Bring your team up. Larry Merrifield. Is he here?
Go, fellas.
they're so fast. Can I get a workout? They're still workouts.
Awesome.
Just turn it around.
Just black.
You're done with this, please? You're done with this, please?
Let's get these things.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Lucky, look at me one more time, bud. One more. Good.
Vic, your team.
How are you? Tracy? Bill Wise? Bill Wise?
You got a fourth? Is that it? Okay. All right. Incidentally, we had 3 ladies in the swim competition today. So all the ladies should get a good hand. Am I through? Okay, we had some officials, and I believe in recognizing everybody. Jimmy Kelly, come on up here. Jimmy and I don't have to take a picture. We got a million of them. Ed Smith. Ed Smith. That takes care of the two judges. Jack Chu, the timer. You got pictures of me and this guy next to each other under an umbrella. Jack. Thank you, Jack. Is there Mark Husky here? He's the picture-taking man and the interview man. Mark. Thank you very much. We got this guy.
I will tell you.
Okay, Vic, you want to come up? Vic, where are you? This is for all the work you've done for the last reunion and this reunion. We appreciate it.
Thank you. It was a pleasure doing it.
Thank you.
Hey, let's give it up for Lucky. We got one for Lucky. By the way, besides the awards, everything that he spoke was extemporaneous with no notes prior to the awards. Way to go, Luck. Stay sharp, buddy.
Comes from 35 years of government work.
By the way, I don't know if you noticed some of the guys and gals coming up here. We had the Stay Thirsty guy, Mark McCullough. Michael was like on The Bachelor. There's a couple other guys around here. It was pretty cool. Hey, what I wanted to do was bring up John Jarvis. And John wanted to say a couple words tonight. And you know that Joan and Carrie are here. You know, just a little bit of time for all of us to take a breath. Stand up if you want in the back, but let's not have separate conversations here. John wants to spend a little time talking about and honoring the memory of Captain George Shove. John?
Thank you all for being here tonight. I had probably a unique opportunity. I knew George for 10 years before I became a member of the Beach Patrol. I was living at 25th Street in the trailer park where George and Joni lived, and I've always said I was their adopted son before they had Greg. And that was really true. George was very, very good to me. Over the years, my first year I was at 33rd Street, and I might as well have been at Cape May. We would count the boats at the end of the day. I didn't have one pull. In fact, I didn't have a handful of swimmers. The last week of that year, people were leaving, and so I got moved around. And I'll never forget, I went to 5th Street. There were more people there that day than I had had all year put together. I really didn't know what to do. The second day, I was at the middle stand of the inlet, and we had a big rip that went right out through the pier. When we dove in, we had a pull, and it was a bad one, and George was there with us, and we got smacked right back up on the beach. So we got out and we hit the water again, very hard, and I got knocked out, and Bob Craig dragged me up, but George made it through. George was the only one that made it through. Most people don't realize how incredibly strong he was in the water. I mean, he was one of the best I ever saw. So when we got done, everybody was gathering up, and I said, gosh, I'm sorry, George, I let you down. He said something that has remained in my heart my entire life. I've never forgot this statement. He said, never, ever be afraid to do your job. That, to me, is the essence of what the Beach Patrol is about. When I became an officer, it was the year that the Beach Patrol expanded dramatically. And with Captain Craig, but with George's leadership, we were able to succeed in tripling the size of the Beach Patrol. I can't possibly tell you what that was like, to go from having 35 guards to having 125 guards. And we pulled it off without losing a single person that year. This was what George did. George was the person that made all of that happen, at least for me. He created the Beach Patrol as we know it now. The continuity that we see today was George's creation.